morning, everybody. It's Sully, and I am with Soul on Fire, spiritual entrepreneurship classes, and these are being promoted and sponsored by Windermere Homes and Estates, with offices all over Southern California and the West Coast. So we are here today with our last unit of the month, and our topic is on non-competition. So we have been talking about how do we collaborate and support other people in the real estate business or in life without feeling that we are being, like competitive, right? So we're going to throw competition out. We're going to support and back up other people in their industries and even the one that we are in now. And today I have a special guest, and it is Cindy Peters. Some of you might know her. She's been around for a while. But before we bring her on to discuss this concept, we're still going to bring in the sound, the attention, the light, and the breath to this space right now, here and now. Thank you for being here. It's a beautiful Monday. It's wrapping up November. Let's talk about how, if we could do this thing, if we could collaborate, if we could really, really love others and love ourselves, could we really have heaven on earth? And there's this little thing I'm going to start our meeting off with today. And it talks about that every day is an opportunity to engage with life. Every time we remember who we love, celebrate moments of achievement, our own and others, reflect on our values, consider how far we've come, we are creating heaven on earth. When we look around and spot one thing of beauty, no matter how inconsequential or small, notice a growing plant, a flying bird, a child's smile, or read about ordinary people making a difference, we are seeing heaven on earth. Every time we see, sense, and feel the life and love moving behind it all, we are experiencing heaven right here on earth. So rather than searching somewhere or waiting for someone, remember that the kingdom of heaven is within. Even when we look at the mirror, there too, we are seeing heaven on earth. It is the life and love pouring in through and as each of us. Every day when we choose to see heaven and be heaven, we are truly bringing about heaven on earth. So this is elaborate, but I am going to go with that today. And I think that the more that we can grab a hold of these concepts, these spiritual concepts, and bring them into our work, that we, even as realtors, can bring heaven on earth. Wayne Dyer said, heaven on earth is a choice you must make, not a place you must find. So let's talk about that today. So today we're going to bring in Cindy Peters. I'm going to bring her in right now. Cindy's in the house. Cindy Peters, are you there? There she is. Hey, let's all welcome Cindy to our program today, Soul on Fire, spiritual entrepreneurship classes through Windermere. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Cindy. I know how busy you are, and it's just a joy to see that this thing has actually manifested. We talked about this in the very inception parts of this concept, and little did I know that it would not only be something at like my spiritual center, but in a collaborative way, right, with Windermere Homes and Estates. They are really driving this agent-centric concept of holistic agents, so body, mind, and soul. So I'm the soul part, the spiritual realtor that I've been dubbed. And thank you for helping me with my little signature line. See, that's another thing, you guys. Cindy is someone who, we're working for different companies, but Cindy will come and help me stage a house. She'll answer my frantic phone calls at the end of a radical deal that I'm struggling with. And Cindy, welcome. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and why did I choose you as the personification of collaboration versus competition. So non-competition, Cindy Peters, people.
Good morning. First of all, thank you for asking me. And I'm so sorry. I was trying to turn off notifications. So if you hear dings, I apologize. That's just little things on the side. Hopefully it's not too much, but it is Monday morning, right?
Right.
After the holiday. So, so thank you for asking me to do this. And yeah, of course you knew this was going to happen because we did talk about it and you did manifest this. And once you set your intention, I know you well enough to know that they're just going to happen. And so I'm grateful to have watched you take this from concept to conversation to reality.
Yay.
Really. So it's amazing. So I am a realtor. I have been a realtor a little over a decade, about almost 12 years now. And I also work in the escrow side and on that side as well. I'm a married mother I have 3 of my children that I gave birth to. I have 2 bonus children that I adore. And my husband is my broker. We have our own little mom and pop gig. And that's pretty much my background. When it comes to non-competition, I don't know where I do know it came from my higher power. But early on, I was able to, something clicked and I was able to be okay with understanding I have to give in order to get. And that came on very early. I don't know exactly, where and how, but I'm grateful that it did because it has never let me down. It has never not served me in all the different aspects of my life, as relationships, business, all of it. I've been able I was mentioning earlier, you go back to that statement of you can't have what's mine and I don't want what's yours.
Right.
And if you really pick that apart to what it says, there's nothing to think about, it is what it is. And I have to trust that. And I was thinking about when we were talking about non-competition and where that really comes from. And it comes down to trust and faith. Yeah. And I have to be pretty well rooted in my faith it is what it is. And I have to trust that. And I was thinking about when we were talking about non-competition and
we're going to stop that
really comes from. And it comes down to
what's
trust
happening
and faith. And I have to be pretty well rooted.
Well, let's listen. How does that sound? That sounds pretty good.
I hate hearing my own voice.
I don't know what is happening. So cancel. There we go. We're done there. We're going to have to just revamp on that one. But so we'll bring it up live. We'll bring it up later on Facebook. But it's been glitchy on Zoom. That's why we're trying to find new platforms. And so,
sure.
But it'll be all from start to finish a little later on. Technology is another thing we're having to collaborate on, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if all you guys know, but Cindy is she does our what is it called? The caravan? Caravan.
Carlsbad Caravan, yeah.
Carlsbad Caravan, and Oceanside also as well.
I'm not doing Oceanside any longer. I just MC Carlsbad, which is, Carlsbad, Encinitas, Cardiff, and San Elijo Hills. It's it's the old school one that we had Bill M's, for years and years that was at the church. Yeah. So we've been on a Zoom format since pretty much May of 2020. And it's served as well as it could for the need, and we aren't getting as many properties on because agents aren't having to put properties on right now because everything's moving so quickly, which is great. We're grateful for that, but we're hoping to go back to a live format as soon as we find a location. That's the other thing is, financially to find a self-supporting location that we can use on a regular basis. That's been a challenge. So
yeah.
We're kind of in float mode.
So that is also an example of collaboration when agents are sharing their properties with each other. Tell us about the motivation behind that. Like, why is that a positive thing? Why is that a thing that we should do?
Well, through COVID, when the market, especially 2020 through early this year, when it was just chaos, right? It was back to those days where we have all these bandwagon realtors now because you think, oh, it's so easy. I just put a sign in the ground, put it on MLS and it sells. I get multiple offers and all this stuff. But what I keep reminding people is to not get out of the habit of doing what we know, right? So don't forget about putting it on Caravan. Don't forget about holding open houses, because these are things that you're putting into your listing packet portfolio. When this dies down or calms down and settles, and you go to get a listing and the seller says, okay, well, but what did you do during that time besides the fact that it was just a crazy market to market and sell this house? You need to show tangible evidence of what you do as a realtor on a regular basis, no matter what, right?
Yes.
Because that's being true to you, and that's what your systems are. And you just stick to your systems, and then those will prevail when this dies down. And it will, we know that it's cyclical. And so things are going to get quiet for a little bit. I think everybody's feeling a little bit of a nice reprieve right now, I'm going to call it, which I think is good. We're talking about things like self-care right now, taking care of yourself, get those doctor's appointments scheduled, get your kids' dentist appointments scheduled, the things that you don't, you're constantly chasing work and you just don't have the time to do. Now's the time to be doing that. Reflect on the last year. Where are some holes in your business that you think maybe you could expand for next year? Things like that. So when it's quiet right now, that's another thing. But sharing your properties on Caravans, on your social media, some realtors say, oh, I hate feeling like I'm showing off, oh, look what I sold, look what I have, look what I've done. If you shift your mindset a little bit into perspective of you were hired to serve your clients, right? You were hired to market and sell their home for them. You are doing that a disservice by not sharing, right? By not putting that on social media. That's part of the deal. That's part of what you're doing. So if you can shift your mindset into being of service, you're being of service to your client. Remove yourself, remove your ego, tell a story about the home, tell a story about your client, put it in a different light so you feel more comfortable sharing it in an authentic way.
So it's like, what's collaborating right now? Millennials collaborate. I interviewed a bunch of people before I started this segment, and the millennial segment of our population, they don't even know what the definition of competition is. Almost, they're just like, what? They don't understand. It's all collaboration. You think like here's a book. It's called Our Moment of Choice, and it's collaborated by dozens of authors. Kentucky Fried Chicken and Taco Bell are collaborating now, so how do you view that in terms of that? That's great for books and people who co-work and Taco Bell and all that, but how does that work in the real estate business?
It's crucial. In my opinion, it's crucial.
How? I mean, let's talk about like your nails, like how is that happening?
So, yeah, so and I've heard you talk on past conversations, we're all connected, right? We're all connected somehow. And so collaboration and lifting another up or being part of something bigger and better than just myself and maybe what I think my immediate need is only serving the bigger, better picture for all of us, and I go back to when I've been a manicurist, a licensed manicurist for 30 plus years. And back when we would sit at the front desk and we had to take turns answering the phone, and when walk-in clients would come or phone calls would come in, we were required to rotate them between the 6 manicurists on the book, rotate them in. And we had one gal who she always put them for herself. Any walk-in, she would make them wait an hour if she already had a client, just so she could take that client. And it was an issue. We would have all these salon meetings about it. And all the other girls were always complaining, she's taking all the clients, And she was constantly struggling to keep her books filled, constantly. She just always was sitting around waiting. And she was sometimes really available to take the walk-in. And if it served the client best, then yeah, that's of course what we want. But we had this big conversation and she asked me, she goes, I hear you on the phone. I see you when people walk in and you just give the clients away. How do you do that? How do you do that? I don't understand it. And I realized it's just a mindset. She's not being, she's not trying to be, she's coming from a place of scarcity, right? Yeah. She's coming from a place of less than, of fear, and financial insecurity.
Yeah.
So once you can so all of those things for me fade away or have less power when I step into faith, right? Once I have faith that everything that is meant to be for me will be.
Yes, ma'am. That's what we've been talking about.
It already is, right? And I have to have faith and understand that. And then I have peace around giving it away.
Yeah.
And I've done that with real estate deals. It's just sometimes you go, oh, but the money, man, I want that paycheck, but I also have to think about what is best for the client, right? The person at the other end, because ultimately I am here to be of service. And I've had, you and I have a mutual friend that I was helping look for a property, and everything we looked at was just, she found something wrong with everything. And I was getting so frustrated and I was losing my mind, and I love this gal, but I was so irritated and getting very resentful. And I had to have this sit down, this come to Jesus, like, Cindy, what's going on? Why are you so angry with her? And I realized it was because every time she said no, my paycheck just got pushed back another 30 days, right? Right? Another 30 days, 45 days. There's my paycheck. There goes my paycheck. And all I was focused on was that end result and my money. Looking at my dear friend whom I adore, realizing that none of these properties were right for her. Like they weren't her property. And literally I had that moment. I worked through that resentment. I let it go. 2 days later, we walk into a home that was $300,000 more than what she said her top budget was, nowhere near the location she thought it would be. And we stepped inside the door on an open house. She grabbed my hand and said, "This is my house."
Yeah, nice.
And she turned it, Jeannie Kundalini, man. She turned it into an incredible sanctuary and served so many people in the spiritual community while she was there. And that has stuck with me. Anytime I'm getting frustrated with a seller or a buyer, I have to go back to service, which takes me back to my spirituality and my practicing of the principles. And then I can be in abundance, even if I'm giving money away.
Yes. Amen. Look at it. You are like what we've been talking about. This is the framework for success as a real estate agent, to combine your spirituality to this industry, which is not really like, it's not the top of mind.
It's not spirituality, that's for sure.
It certainly wasn't in my first 10 years, but yeah. So this concept is really thriving, and that's another beautiful thing, is that I see that more and more people are embracing this as a possibility to their life. So can you talk to me about, like, what are your spiritual practices? What do you do every day?
Well, I wake up great. I don't always wake up grateful. Let me rephrase that. I wake up and, my first thought is always to grab my phone, right? I just grab my phone and let's start the day, scroll, get, check my emails, And, first things first, I'm a mom, right? My children are adults, but first thing first, I grab my phone and check to see if any of my children have texted me throughout the night. Are they in jail? Are they, do they run out of gas on the side of the road? All that stuff. That's never going to stop. I don't care how old they get. That'll always be my first thing. But it's a practice for me to then put my phone down and then just sit, right? And think about my day ahead. What are my plans? Am I feeling anxious about anything? Am I fearful about anything? Do I have any unresolved resentments or issues that I didn't deal with yesterday? And I have to get into a space of gratitude and just motivate, meditation. Prayer and meditation is how I have to start my day. There it is. And that's a practice, I'm terrible at it. I'll be honest. My mind wanders, and I don't always give myself the best situation to just sit and really get centered and focused. Some days I hit the ground running. This is not progress rather than perfection, right? But that's how I kind of start my day and look ahead, and I'll be damned if I don't ask God to just let me be of service the phone starts ringing, man. And
I know it's magic. It's magic. I'm trying to, we're gonna call this Magic Mondays. This is what we're talking about. Is there is magic. We can create heaven on earth. We can love each other. We can support each other. Which brings us to a question that we got from our audience. Someone said, how do you stop the comparison game internally and externally?
I am a perpetual comparer. And that's just something that's just deep rooted coming from, I grew up in a very grounded, loving home. My parents have been married 55 years. I was always told I was loved. I always felt loved, but I have always felt less than. That's just a thing. That's just me. I've always compared myself to others. I'm always looking at other people's outsides and comparing them to my insides, right? So what other people look like. Are they thinner than me? Are they heavier than me? Are they prettier than me? Are they more successful than me? All of those things. And those are the voices that I have to quiet in my head. And that's, again, another practice. That's me having those conversations about that I am enough, and whatever I look like is okay on any given day, and all of those things. But it's not easy. It is a practice. It's a lot of work on the other side, on outside of real estate and things. I work, other programs that help me build up those conversations. So I do feel plentiful and adequate and all of those things. And I'm constantly in curiosity, right? Mm-hmm. Constantly open and willing to grow and to learn. And that helps me too, because I think the minute I get stagnant, then I'm just stuck with where I am, and I'm stuck with me, right? Wherever I go, there I am. And so I'm stuck with me, and all I can do is compare. But when I am in curiosity and I'm growing and I'm learning and I'm asking people questions, and I'm not, let's see, what's the right word? When I'm genuinely happy watching other people succeed, whether I had a hand in helping at some minuscule point or not, the comparison goes away. Like, it's gone. Mm-hmm. It's when I am not 100% genuinely happy for someone else, when I see them losing weight. If that's a thing, and I don't mean to make that a thing, but some people are constantly trying to get healthier, right? Eat better, or exercise more, or build their business, do more deals, all of that stuff. When I can look at someone, and if I can't be genuinely happy for someone, then I've got my own work to do, right? Then I have to turn back and go, okay, Cindy, what's going on? Where's your gratitude? Where's your heart right now? What's the point? Why does them not doing well isn't going to make me do well, right? And it's not going to make me do any better. Yeah. So I think that's the thing too, just comparing and then being able to turn that into appreciation and genuine happiness.
So with that, they asked, how do you stop the comparison game internally and externally? Like, let's go a little deeper into that. So for example, let's take my relationship. One day I told you I was going to have a listing, and I said, I need to stage it. Right. And you went and looked at it with me, even though we're quote unquote competitors. And what is the next thing that you did? You said, hey, hop in my van, let's go grab some stuff, and I'll help you stage this house, and actually some of your stuff's still in my garage. I gotta get that back to you. But then I usually go all back in and I use it again, but sorry about that. So, but that's what I mean. Like okay, how do you do that? How do you pick up a phone call from me when I'm having like my own stuff and support me in my transaction? And how do people wrap their head around that? Like, how is that possible for someone to do?
Because I want you to win. And by win, I mean, I want you to be successful. I want to see you, show that seller, if you are asking me for help, or you're calling me for something, and I have the ability to step into that, I want to do it. I just do. And I want to do it free of resentment. So I also have to be real clear about where are my motives.
And boundaries, right?
Right. My motives dictate my boundaries. which then dictate my expectations.
Got it.
Right? So if my motive is just to serve you and help you, then my boundaries can be very clear. I can say, you know what, I'm only available on Tuesday from 1 to 3. That's it.
Right.
If my motivation is different, like, oh, maybe she's going to pay me some money to help, or maybe I don't know, maybe I could steal the list, you know, all those things. If my motivation isn't authentic, then my expectation is different and I'm going to be resentful. Right.
And then miserable, basically.
Yeah. And my boundaries disappear because now I'm just chasing something that's not even promised or real. And it just spins and it just spins. So it all comes back to my motivation. And if I can't genuinely say yes to something, then I'm not being true to myself. Right. I'm lying and I'm not allowed to lie. So I have to do that. So the motivation is really where it starts. And if I don't want to do it, I have to be good about saying, I can't, or I probably wouldn't say I don't want to, but I'd find a more eloquent way to say, go figure it out yourself, Sully. You're a realtor.
Right.
Go with it.
It was pretty fun. Actually, we did it twice. Oh my God.
Yeah, we did. Those stairs.
Those stairs.
In July.
I only walked 236 steps yesterday, so I'm feeling pretty good. Rested. But okay, so when you're driving down the street and you see a listing sign, a new listing sign, what's your first reaction?
Well, now that I work in escrow, I think my first reaction is just, ooh, maybe I'll get that escrow. Who's the listing agent? Maybe it's a friend of mine, or maybe it's someone that needs my help, or, that kind of a thing. But, I'm a human being, and human nature, I think my first thought is, ooh, how's that going to help me type of thing? I'm not going to lie. That's just like it's, my goal is to have that moment be this brief. Right. That's my goal, not to let it be this, oh my God, let me talk through. It's my goal is to have that first self-thought and self-serving thought be minuscule. So I don't manifest it. And it doesn't get bigger and I start feeding it, because that's when I get myself.
That's what you think about, you bring about.
Exactly.
So now what if it's a listing sign where you went on the listing appointment and then all of a sudden the pop-up sign, like, it's not you?
Yeah. And, again, not going to lie, there's probably some moments, and some of them have lasted longer than others, where I go, shit, I could have done a better job, or, they're not going to be happy, whatever, trust me, they come, but then I have to go back to faith, and I have to go back to trusting that whether or not, not so much. Somebody told me something once. I went through a rough situation, and I was saying, what's the lesson here? I know God's trying to teach me a lesson. What is my higher power trying to teach me? And she said, God is protecting you. And that gave me so much comfort. And that's all I needed to know.
Yeah. What's for you is going to find you, right? It's never
I didn't have to try to dissect it and figure out what the lesson was, or what am I being taught, or what am I supposed to do with this information? Oh, I'm being protected. I don't even need to know what it's from. Yeah. I don't care. All I feel safe in is knowing that was going to be a bad deal for me and my heart or my well-being. And then I'm good. So it's for me, it really is all goes back to faith.
Okay. We have another question. Okay. So would love your thoughts about this when your career is in such a high competitive field, about the whole comparison thing. It is almost asking the impossible, right? To be there's even that show $1 Million Listing or Sunset Realtor, whatever. And you see them being super competitive. Although now, aren't they starting to more collaborate together to get the deal, to do whatever? So, so because of the concept that this is such a highly competitive field, what are your thoughts on that? Does it have to be a competitive field? Let's just break it all the way down to that.
Sure. Well, yeah, I mean, it is. This industry is we're taught to be cutthroat, right? We're taught to have the shinier objects and the bigger, better, presentation, and it's all perception. It's all just perception for the consumer to see, right? And I've had people call me and go, well, I don't know if you would want to list my house because I thought you only did luxury, or I thought you only did the coast, and mine's just a little condo in Escondido. No, that is not. And then I have to go, oh my God, what am I portraying? Like what I have to rethink, like, yeah, we want to do our job of marketing ourselves, because that's part of how we get business, and that's okay, but it's got to be in an authentic way, right? That's just, or else I can't sleep at night, or it's got to be genuine. But yeah, we are in a highly competitive market, but I've learned a lot about the listing agents that we see that are, extremely busy, that market on television, that have all these things. And I just recently went into a deal with a gal, and she was, she's a very, very, very busy high-end luxury realtor. And she was, a little rough on me at first, because it's just, my husband, I do all right. My husband and I have our brokerage, and I don't crazy market because my focus is on escrow, but I have a decent clientele and they keep me busy. And she was a little rough on me at first. And we got our offer accepted. I did my best and got a clean offer accepted. And it was a high-end, it was a luxury property. And then her team just kind of fell apart. Her TC was sending me all the wrong paperwork from previous clients, and she kept goofing on things. And literally it got down to her and I sitting in a chair during a home inspection, and her spilling her guts to me about how frustrated things are, how, and this and that. And there was I didn't get pleasure in seeing her be authentic and vulnerable in a sense of, oh, she's not that big of a deal. It was like, wow, maybe somewhere along the line, I gave her permission to do that. And that's a gift, right? That's something that I feel like somewhere through the process, I offered grace through her, maybe some missteps that gave her the vulnerability to get more real with me. And that kind of gave me a different perspective about her in a good way. Oh, so she's not this, the one with the folded arm photo and the business, the power pose, all that.
I'm holding my dog. No, nobody see the dog, but I am holding my dog.
Yeah. So we are in a highly competitive market, and there's no getting around that. You're always going to come across those agents that are cutthroat, ego-driven, power tripping, period.
Yeah.
My only suggestion of what has served me well is to just come at it with grace, tolerance, and keeping my client's needs in the front foremost of all my priorities throughout it. Mm-hmm. If that means letting another agent tell me how many years they've been a realtor, please go for it. It's fine. It's all good. You don't know how to input things in the MLS, but you've been a realtor for 28 years. Great. I don't need to be right. I just need to serve my client. So if that's the way it is, that's the way it is. And if it means, letting a power trip and realtor have their power trip, I did a 1% buyer side deal because of a big side agent. I had to use his escrow that just over the top crazy pricing. But my client was a first time buyer, so excited about this house. And that's all I cared about. Yep. All that mattered to me.
Putting the deal together for me, like it really, all the other stuff is just secondary. Exactly. And what you're proving right now to the audience and to me and to what I already know about you is that the spiritual life is not a theory, right? And that we can bring it into and we should bring it. It should be integrated into everything we do, especially the real estate business. There's so much, there's so many moving parts, so many people to deal with. Is there anything else that you would love to see or tell us about? Yeah, it's mostly, we're talking about this concept of collaboration versus competition, and Cindy Peters is that person you can look to see how that is done, because I know that I can come to you pretty much with anything that I have, even the concept of my negotiating to get a listing, which is kind of crazy, isn't it? that I could discuss these things with a competitor, but it isn't, because we are living in this life that is more spiritually centered, and where those miracles actually can happen, because that's kind of a miracle if you think about it, that competitors can be collaborative and friends and roll out after that. So I would like, let's wrap it up with talking about the importance of maybe getting going back with the caravans. That is, you know, if you think you don't need to work with other agents or affiliates, or involve yourself in that situation, in those forums that are available and really valuable for us as agents. Maybe you could talk a little bit more about that and what things are happening at the board, and we'll wrap it up with that.
Sure. You know, I know, you know, what, as a realtor, sometimes you walk into Caravan and you're just like, oh my God, you get bombarded with affiliates, right? Your title, your escrow, your lenders, everybody's there. And you look around the room and you're like, God, there's like 4 realtors and 18 affiliates, right? But if you think about it, in over a decade of being a realtor, I've never once completed an entire real estate transaction by myself.
Right.
Can't be done, right? We need NHD, we need title, we need escrow, we need a lender, we need appraisers, we need the termite guys, we need, you know, we need A1, we need fluorite, we need all that stuff. Those people are there to help. They're there to serve. So I have shifted my perspective around that as well. And yeah, being in the escrow industry, that, you know, or moving on to the side of escrow to be the connector over there. I am, you know, I am a fan. I'm a firm believer that it is a collaboration. It literally has to be, or else we can't complete a real estate transaction. Just can't be done. So I think that, combined with just getting people in person together again, you know, there's an energy that you feel in person at a Caravan meeting that you don't get on Zoom. You know, it's one dimension, right? We're just on a surface. And, you know, I do my best to do my one trick pony show and my, you know, banjo and all that good stuff to keep people entertained for an hour while we walk through the properties, but it's not the same. And we really are trying to find a location. It's a financial matter, you know, because the money has to come from our sponsors. And where we were before at the C3 church, the most recent location in Bressie Ranch, the pricing was outrageous, and we were having to ask our members to keep pitching in more, and it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel good. So, you know, I'm putting it out there, you know, manifesting this. If anybody knows of a location that would be ideal, if it's a brewery in an industrial area that's available to us on a Wednesday morning on a regular basis, that has audio visual, that, you know, wouldn't be an arm and a leg, we'd be so down to get something going in person, even if it's every other week, or, you know, and a combination. You know, what we're finding too is agents are happy to be doing the Zoom from their listing that they're going to hold open.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Right. So they're already at the property, they're presenting it, we have it up on the screen, everything's there, and then boom, they just open the door and come in. So that kind of is another thing too. We're talking about hybrid situation of having an in-person plus that. So it's in the talk, it's in the works and conversation. We just need to pinpoint a location, and then
and what geographical area are you looking in?
You know, Carlsbad seems to be the hub, just because more South Carlsbad, you know, anywhere and closer to the freeway, because we want to appeal to the Encinitas and Cardiff, you know, agents that need to get down, you know, once wrap it up and then get on the road to get down to open up the property and get signs out and so forth. So anything in that, you know, South Carlsbad, you know, around Palomar Airport, that kind of a situation, we want to make it really as convenient as possible for everyone to get to, and all that good stuff. So putting it out there.
Okay, well, I want you to have an amazing day, a magical Monday. Go out there and make it a beautiful day. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey and this podcast. And it's a non-podcast podcast, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I'm honored.
Here we are. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. This is from a week ago, not from, oh, somebody's looking for us. So anyway, we will be back next Monday, and we're taking on a whole new topic in December, and that is on devotion, which is gonna kind of be that part of you that takes that time to look at yourself and love yourself so that you can go out and love others and collaborate and do the best that you can do and be the best that you can be. Don't take off somebody else's head to try to be taller, but just do the best. As long as you're shining, right, then keep shining. And Cindy, do you have any closing thoughts before I end the meeting?
Nope, I don't think so. Just grateful and just honored to watch you just flourish with this, this idea. I can picture us sitting at local tap house having this conversation of, over lunch about all the things, the uncertainties of things coming, but you knew that this was going to be your path, and here you are. And it's a testament to how it all works, right?
And just knowing you were there really helped prop me up to really making it happen. So thank you again, everybody. Cindy Peters, thank you so much for being here. Have a great magical Monday, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Thank you.